200 miles north of the Casa, a tear in reality stood open. The cackling hordes of chaos spilled forth, eager to shed the blood of the 4 Space Marines and single dreadnought that reached the rift in time. An apothecary, 2 Tech Marines, and the chapter master of the Blood Raven stood defiant, casting down the hordes that spilled towards them, as the dreadnought stood behind them, providing cover fire. 7 construction servitors worked feverishly to reload and repair 7 auto-bolter turrets that had been hastily dropped to cover the rift.
Chapter Master Angelos, I have received word from the Casa that reinforcements are incoming.
One of the Tech Marines voxed, sounding distracted as he covered the servitor. The former Ogrin lumbered forward, a crate of bolts in its hands.
Finally! What did they decide to do instead of helping us?
Angelos yelled, hefting a crack grenade towards a roaring cultist that had made it past the hail of bolts. The grenade detonated inches from the screaming cultist, casting his entrails in the air.
Meeting somebody from Terra, I gathered.
The Tech Marine replied tersely, then pivoted to crush the face of a giggling Slaneshi cultist in with his mechadendrite.
I must say, brother Chapter Master Angelos, this is preferable to endlessly retelling stories.
The armored form of Bjorn rumbled from his speakers. He pivoted at the waist and fired a stream of bolter shells at the flapping, winged form of a nerd-like demon, which splattered messily at the base of the sandbags the small cluster of Marines were hiding behind. A lesser bloodletter charged from the rift next, running straight through the bolter shells like they weren't even there. It leapt the barrier and slammed into the apothecary, who yelled in surprise and pain. Angelos hefted his demon hammer and slammed it into the demon's leg, trying carefully not to hit the prostrate apothecary. The cornate monster screamed, flying apart at the waist, as the apothecary slammed his blade into the demon's face with every sign of relish.
Well met, Lord Angelos.
Bjorn rumbled.
There's another coming out now. They're laying on the fucking pressure.
Without another word, he fired another salvo of bolter shells into the creature, which had chosen that unfortunate time to leap up into the air. It caught the bolt square in the midsection and tumbled directly into Bjorn's lightning claw. Bjorn laughed.
Ha 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 ha! The memories.
I thought you didn't want to tell stories.
Angelos said with grim humor. A cultist with more bloodlust and enthusiasm, in World Eater's colors, leapt over the sandbags, screaming. Blood for the blood god! Skulls for... He cut off as the apothecary grasped his head and squeezed, the unfortunate cultist's head bursting like an overripe tomato.
As delightful as this is,
Bjorn continued, slicing a warp spray to ribbons that quickly evaporated.
Our ammunition supply can only... Hold still, you Emperor, damn you! Hold out so long. Brother Tech Marines, when are those reinforcements arriving?
Under 2 minutes.
The nearest Tech Marine yelled, seconds before catching a plate full of shrapnel from an impossibly lucky cultist with a grenade. His massive body pitched backward, colliding with the ammo servitor he had been guarding, which detonated with a crackling fireball that temporarily knocked everyone but Bjorn off of their feet. Bjorn quickly hosed down the sprawling demons with his bolter, but he only managed to kill 2 before the other 4 leapt back up, charging forward.
Blood for the blood god!
One roared, leaping at the dreadnought.
He'll bring yours!
A terrifying psychic voice roared, stunning the assembled pack of fighters into silence. A huge shadow engulfed the battlefield as a vast demon speared above the tableau, landing on the demons with an echoing thud. The bolter turrets rotated to destroy the new threat, but with a single roar that left Angelos' ears ringing, their machine spirits were either deactivated or terrified into submission. The creature turned its attention back to the rift, and with a horrifying flash of light, the rift started to knit itself shut. Angelos found his mouth hanging open. He snapped himself out of his shock and gestured to his comrades.
Wait a moment. Brothers, this abomination is sealing the rift. Wait until it finishes.
The enormous orange demon glowed in eerie purple light, which seemed to make the lesser demons and cultists wither away in its very presence. The rift slowly knitted itself back together, spilling out demons that boiled into vapor from the creature's presence. Before it sealed completely, however, a chilling laugh echoed out of the hole, heralding the arrival of a bloodthirster of Khorne. The monstrous orange demon that had come to Angelos' aid abandoned its rift-sealing sorcery and hurled itself forward, catching the winged Khorne demon in the midsection. It sprawled back onto the ground, but recovered quickly, beating its wings to gain its balance. It hefted a blood-drenched sword and charged the huge orange creature. Angelos watched in awe as the two monstrous creatures grappled, with the orange interloper seemingly holding the advantage. It swept one massive hand at the bloodthirster's knees, catching it off guard, and grabbed its torso with the other clawed hand. Then, with a sickening rip, tore the monster in half, discarding it like a candy wrapper. It turned back to the rift and roared so loudly that Angelos was fervently glad he had elected to wear a helmet that day. Finally, with a horrid ripping noise, the rift sealed itself up, the eldritch light faded, and the air settled down. The creature twisted, nonchalantly, to face the Marines. Angelos felt a strange sense of finality wash over them as he stared certain death in the face. The orange demon turned to Bjorn, who was busily scraping demon ichor off its carapace with a pile of clothes ripped from a dead cultist. Bjorn's optics glanced at the beast.
Boss, have you gained weight?
Bjorn, you old fart. I almost didn't recognize you in that color.
Why? Whatever do you mean?
Bjorn asked coyly, an instant before Angelos could make a panicked statement.
I've always been with the Blood Ravens.
The massive creature stared at Bjorn with its horrible eyes for a moment, before shrugging.
You say so. None of my business.
He turned to Angelos, who was staring at the exchange with a look on his face that could modestly be described as stupefied.
You must be Gabriel Angelos. Congratulations on your promotion. I was briefly concerned that I would have to declare your entire chapter excommunicate traitores.
Angelos finally found his wits. Sort of.
Who are you?
What? Are you dense?
The creature replied. After a few awkward seconds, it laughed.
I jest. I am the Emperor of Mankind, reborn in a new body.
If the word SuperPhat had described Angelos before, flabbergasted would work now. The huge creature turned back to Bjorn, who had discarded the cultist's rags, apparently satisfied with his cleaning job.
So, how did you know who I was?
The elder dreadnought shrugged his artificer adamantine shoulders.
We fought under the same sky once. Lehman and I battled at your will on Ildrave 3, and I met you in person after the battle, if you'll recall.
Well, yeah, but I was human then.
You're the memorable sort, sire.
Bjorn said, using the honorific that probably hadn't been used to describe the Emperor in 8,000 years.
Besides, I could sense it. I'm no psyker, thankfully, but I remember that you used a similar ability to seal a rift on Klender Prime. I only heard about it in the after-action report, but...
Yeah, that was me. Good memory.
The Emperor turned to the apothecary who had fallen to his knees.
So, are you going to see to the brother Tech Marine?
What? Oh! The apothecary turned to the Tech Marine who had been flung into the explosion, who was twitching feebly, the back layer of his armor shattered. The apothecary struggled to his knees and hurried over to the Marine, slipping a probe into the downed Tech Marine's armor. The other Tech Priest knelt reverently before the Emperor, who sighed.
Honestly, you don't need to do that.
The Tech Marine looked up at him, his mask hiding his confusion.
But, my lord god, I am simply offering you a sign of my devotion.
You're an Astartes. Your gene seed distilled from my own essence. You don't need to show me devotion through anything but action. Now get up. Really?
The Tech Marine and Angelos scrambled to their feet, while the Emperor looked back to Bjorn.
So, Bjorn, is there any truth to the rumor that Lehman Russ himself is leading your 13th Great Company into battle, here, right now?
I haven't the foggiest idea, boss.
The Dreadnought said.
He disappeared into the Eye of Terror over 9,000 years ago. If he's here, then it must be...
The wolfing time. Yeah, I gathered. You guys picked the weirdest name for it, though.
I loathed it, sire. Always have.
Bjorn said disgustedly.
Back in my day, we used wolves as mounts, maybe. Icons, symbols. We were never literal wolves. But now, fuck. The lead space wolf on this planet is named Deathwolf, Wolf Lord of the Wolf Pack. Fuck. That's just perpetuating a stereotype.
Yeah, well, hey, listen. It was great talking to you again, but I should really go back and check in with Creed. I'll keep my ears open regarding the rumor that Russ himself is somewhere on this rock.
Oh, no hurry, sire.
Bjorn said hastily.
He'll turn up if you really need him.
Sure.
The Emperor drawled, not buying it for a moment.
I'll tell him you said hi.
With a flash of purple light, the huge Emperor disappeared. Bjorn glanced up momentarily, the dreadnought equivalent of a shake of the head.
What a kidder.
He turned to Angelos, who was looking seriously stunned.
You okay, Chapter Master Angelos?
Angelos turned to look Bjorn at the optics, looking stunned.
How? Is it true? You walked under the same sky as the Emperor himself?
Sure did.
Bjorn said, wandering around the sandbags to the piles of discarded clothes and weapons where the evaporated demons and cultists had once lain.
Really, are you okay? You're looking kind of wobbly. Here,
He said, lifting a discarded combi bolter with his lightning claw.
take this. A little looting after a battle always cheers you up.